Alright guys, so let's talk about endgame. Now, there are three different things you do in this game as endgame content, alright? Now, we can start with anyone to be honest. The three of them are TOA, which is the Tower of Adversity, the hologram, the tactical hologram fights, and the elusive realm, alright? The elusive realm is not so much endgame because you can access it way earlier and use like trial characters and stuff. But to do like the highest levels in there that requires you to fight like level 100 enemies and stuff, I would recommend taking your own built resonator. It does there's a little bit more than that, but I'll talk about it in a sec. All right. So let's look at the holograms first. All right, so if you go to your guidebook and you click on path of growth, you have the tactical hologram. All right, these are bosses in the open world. This one is the Tempest Memphis. They start at level 1 to level 6. Usually level 1 to 3 is considered the basic version of the boss where you learn the fight. And then when you start doing level 4 and higher, they tend to start doing more. All right, they have a little bit more mechanics. So like the Tempest Memphis, for one, apart from him moving like really fast and stuff, you'll understand that this boss, when you hit level 4, level 5, and level 6, you're not just fighting him, but you're also fighting a clone version of him. So you're fighting two of them at the same time. All right, it's a really cool fight. It's very difficult, it's very challenging. You use 3 characters, but if you want to like be, challenge yourself like some of the other players in this game, you can actually try and fight it with 1 character. All right, that's only if you want it to be a little bit more challenging. So these are the first 5. Let me see, was it 5? It was 4 bosses that released on launch. All right, in Huanglang. The Impermanence Heron was another one. We also had the Morning Aches, which is everyone hated that one the most because it was pretty annoying. I do have a sneaky suspicion that they maybe nerfed him a little, but I'm not sure. I can't confirm it. All right, and the Feline Beringal, which is different. It looks like the same one in the tree, but it fights a little different. All right, I wouldn't consider them the same boss because they actually fight differently. When they released Mount Firmament, we got the Crownless. Now this Crownless is not like the boss that you fight in the open world. This one is completely different, bro. He is crazy, man. He is annoying to fight against because first of all, he doesn't even use his weapon in the first part of the fight. He uses his fist, bro. That man be throwing hands. All right, which is pretty annoying because you can't counter him. You can juggle him with some characters, which makes the fight a little easier, but if your character don't do that, you're gonna have a pretty tough time. All right, because you have to dodge his attacks. And then when they released the Black Shores in 1.3, we got the Infernal Rider, right? Now, this one is not like the one that you know. This one is completely different. Because what I've noticed they did was that each time they release a new boss, they tend to make him harder than the ones before, right? Which is good because they're thinking about us as players, especially like the solo players who keep soloing the bosses. They tend to make them way more challenging. So the thing with the Infernal Rider is, unlike the one that you fight in the open world where when you break his vibration gauge, he jumps off of the bike. That's not how it works in this fight. Actually, when you deplete his HP gauge, he jumps off the bike and then he has a new HP gauge, which, trust me, is something interesting that you should check out. So those are pretty much the hardest content in the game. I'm talking about you need maxed out characters. Unless you're like running a full team, you can probably beat them like with your, if your character is like around like level 70, level 80 or something, you can beat them early. But if you're going for solo runs, you need like maxed out characters to do these. All right, it's not easy, but it is something to look forward to. So have fun with that. The next thing we're going to talk about is the Tower of Adversity. All right. Now the Tower of Adversity is very straightforward. It's pretty much the same as the Spiral Abyss in Genshin Impact. Or if you play Zenless Zone Zero, it's pretty much like Shield Defense. Alright, so in the Tower of Adversity, when you first start, and let's go down to... Wait, where is it? Oh yeah, let's start. You start out in the stable zone, alright? Now the stable zone is pretty much for beginners. You start out fighting level 35 enemies, then they go up to level 40. You go up to level 45 and then you fight level 50s, right? This is like a basic introduction. They just want you to get your feet wet, see what it's all about and what to expect. You can fight them with a full team if you want. One character would be enough. If you're like if your characters are maxed out before you discover this, you can pretty much clear these with one character. But this is where you get your feet wet. After you get past the stable zone, they put you in the experimental zone, right? Which is a little bit more like, you know, intermediate level. So you go through these level 50, level 55, level 60, and then level 70, right? They make you fight a boss at the end. This is literally just to get you prepared for what's coming next, right? But here you have two towers, unlike the stable zone or the resonant tower. The experiment zone has two towers. And what you would immediately think is that you need 6 characters to do it, because you would need 3 characters per tower. Because the trick with this is that it comes with a thing called energy. Each one of your characters have 10 energy, and going through each of these towers, they call it vigor right here. It costs 1 to go through the first one. The second one would cost 2. That means if you use 1 character or 3 characters on both of these, they would use 3 energy or vigor so far. Then down here, this one requires 3, which would mean you would be on 6 with the same characters, and then at the end they all use 4. So it takes 1 team to go through these. All right, it adds up to 10 in total by the end. All right. So you would need 1 character or 3 teams, or 1 team for this, 1 team of 3 characters, and then 1 team of 3 characters for this one, if you want to do it with teams. All right. After you get through the experimental zone, they will put you in overdrive. No, you go to hazard zone first. My bad. This seems a little confusing. So the hazard zone would be the next place you would end up. All right. Now it resets. I think it's like every 2 weeks. And what happens is, in the resonant tower, this is literally endgame with the hardest stuff. And you would need at least 3 teams. If you're not confident to do the towers with 1 character, you would need 3 teams, because you need a team for each tower, and the element changes every time it resets, right? So currently, because we have Camellia came out the other day, and we just have Yinlin and Zhengli Yao on the current banners, this tower is Electro, right? They tend to put the element corresponding with the characters on the banners. All right, so this tower is Electro and this tower is Havoc. All right, so you would start out at level 70, level 75, level 80, and then level 90. All right, and what happens is the rule remains the same, where they require vigor for each tower. 1 vigor, 2 vigor, 3, and then 4. All right. So what happens is, if you use one character on one tower, you can't use that character anymore in any of the towers in the hazard zone. Okay? Or I'm pretty sure this is what it's called. It's called the hazard zone. All right. The echoing tower is the same. You would use a different team over here, and then you would do the hazard zone, which makes you fight level 100 enemies. But here, the thing is, the effects are always the same. They give your resident a 30% attribute damage bonus, and the second one usually changes. This usually changes whether they want you to do quick swaps or they want you to use like elemental skills first. So what happens is the second buff you get here usually affects the way you clear the tower, all right, or how you're supposed to play. So the first tower we got the Infernal Rider, and this time we got Filial Beringal. This one, the second one is usually the harder, because what they would do, they would usually put like tanky enemies in front of the boss, and then to get 3 of these, I usually just call them stars, you need to clear the tower within 3 minutes. All right. So at this point, you should have like your teams locked in, like powerful teams. You should be very confident with your playstyle, how you play them, and how you swap between them. All right, because this is the hardest stuff in the game, and this is where most of the challenge comes in. The thing is, because the hazard zone wasn't enough, because people clear this all the time, you can see I've pretty much cleared it. I might just be short on 1 star here, which is not a big deal. I'm not too worried about it. With the hazard zone cleared every time, they added a new region that's called the overdrive zone. Now this is literally harder than the hazard zone, but the only thing here is that you get more time to clear it. All right, so as you can see, all the enemies here are level 100, and the first tower currently the first tower is Spectral here. This tower over here is Fusion. I'm actually supposed to come back and finish it. I just don't have the time to do it since I'm making videos. And then over here is Arrow, and I believe this last part is Electro. All right, where you fight Scar here, and up here you would fight, I think it was it the Infernal Rider? I think the Infernal Rider is here. Oh yeah, this guy. You fight a bunch of all of these enemies first, and then you fight him. This is the hardest stuff in the game. Trust me, 100%. All right. The thing is, with the Tower of Adversity, every time it resets, not the stable zone, not the experimental zone. These are a one-time clear. All right. When you clear them, this is how you're rewarded. They give you 100 astrite per the number of let's call these stars you collect. All right, so 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and it goes up to 12. This is just for the first one, right? Let me see. 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 800 astrite just for clearing this. All right, as well as hazard records. You use hazard records in the shop. I'll show you in a sec. Experimental zone is also different. You clear these, you get rewarded. All right, you start at 1, you get 24 stars, you get all of your astrite, and you get hazard records as well. All right, as well as shell credits, money, and advanced resonance potion. All right, when you go over to the hazard zone, this resets like I said, I think it's every 2 weeks. It's the same. You clear these, you get this one resets. The hazard zone resets. I believe it is the only one in the game that resets currently. All right, you come in here, you get 30 stars, you collect all of your astrite, right? But the rewards drop significantly, because up here, because it resets, we get 50 astrite, 75, 75, 75. See that? And 50 in the last part. But for 30, you get 120 hazard records. You get 60, 120 here. And like I said, the hazard records, you'll use those in the shop. And then the overdrive zone is also a one-time clear as well, at least for now. I'm not sure if they're going to like refresh it every time we get a huge update or what, but for now it's a one-time clear. All right, so with your hazard records, you would come into the point shop. You can buy advanced energy cores for leveling up your weapons, advanced seal tubes for leveling up your echoes. You have advanced resonance potions for leveling up your resonators. You have premium tuners. This is for leveling up your echoes as well. All right, I might do a guide on echoes, but we'll see. And then you can also get shell credits. All right, you would use the hazard records on this side for adversity exchange and simulation training store. This one is for beating the tactical simulations or the holograms that I talked about earlier. You'd use it to buy these. Sometimes you come in here and you can buy things like rare reskins for bosses. All right, so the only thing is with the tactical holograms, it is a one-time clear. We're going to get new bosses in Rena Sita, like the fallacy of no return and a new boss. However, they will have different records or different currency special tokens. All right, so for now, this is the Tower of Adversity. This will be your end game along with the tactical holograms. So let's talk about the elusive realm. All right, we're just going to do like a brief overview of the elusive realm. It's always located here in the Winding Aches' Mire. Now, they brought us to the Somnium Labyrinth, which is, I believe, is going to be a permanent event. But what happens is they'll have to do a refresh on it. All right, because currently I have everything done. It said permanent here, but it's going to refresh in, let's say 10 days, because I've already cleared everything in here. But this is a new event. It's a lot. It's very simple. It's not as difficult as the elusive realm. All right. All right. So we're just going to do a brief overview of the elusive realm. Don't worry about it. I'm going to do a separate guide on this that goes in depth. But this is pretty much what you need to know. All right. Before it wasn't a permanent event, but now it is. All right. What happens is, now that it's a permanent event, you can clear it every week 12 times. Not 12 times, it would be less than that, because you get like 3 rewards inside depending on which one you do every time you do a run, if you do a complete run. So it wouldn't be 12 times. I would say maybe like 4 runs a week to clear 12 rewards. All right, the rewards are right here. I'm still supposed to go in and clear 4 more. But what happens is in the shop, it has limited items that reset. All right, it resets because this is the limited rewards. These are permanent rewards that reset every week. All right, so what happens is if you do anomaly investigation, you can get asteroid, and these are literally like just things they want you to do when you're clearing the elusive realm. Complete any difficulty of Phantasma Mass. Complete and Phantasma Mass are the different levels in there. All right. Unlock all nodes in Thought Evolution. That's something I'll show you in a sec. And clear any difficulty of once with a reward rate of 150%. That is another thing. You can make it more difficult when you're doing it. All right. So they give you challenges. That's pretty much what you need to understand here. You get challenges to do when you're in there. And let me check this. This is Thought Evolution. So one of the challenges said you need to unlock all these nodes. These nodes are like a skill tree that makes you stronger. What you need to understand is the elusive realm should be considered as a separate part of the game. It's a game within a game, right? Because in here, you can turn any character into crazy DPS characters and just go crazy in there. Even healers or buffers or supports, you can turn them into crazy DPS characters and just like destroy things in the elusive realm. All right. So if we click challenge, it starts at level 70. You get 75, 80. Things get harder when you hit this one, right? Level 90, 95, and level 100. This is why I was saying that it can be an end game stuff where you would need to bring your own resonator, because I wouldn't recommend taking a resonator that is scaled up like this one, for example, right? The resonators do work off the things that you put on them. So here it says the rules of physics work in strange ways inside the elusive realm. Resonator skills remain effective in the elusive realm, right? Skills as in like their abilities, I would suppose. Weapon stats and buffs remain effective. That means if you have her weapon and the buff on the weapon, it would go inside the elusive realm, right? Echo stats and skills are ineffective, so her echoes don't matter. Okay, it just comes down to like her skill tree and her weapon. All right. Buffs obtained. Resonator level is increased to 80. Weapon level is increased to 80. Because this is not a character that I own this character, but I didn't build her. Okay. So let's say, for example, if I use Camellia, it would be different. You know, they say remove the scaling. So taking her, they're saying her skills remain effective. Her weapon stats and buffs remain effective, right? But echo stats are off, because in there, you choose a different echo when you join in there. When you enter the elusive realm, they give you a different echo, because you're supposed to play with your echo to clear it. All right. Most of your skills, there will be doors that allow you to increase your character's abilities and get them buffs, right, on their core abilities and on other abilities related to the echo. All right. So it is like a completely different game mode that when you play it, and like I said, I'll do a guide that goes in depth on the elusive realm, but this is just a brief overview. They also give us trial characters. If you don't own them, you can use them. And then this one, this is where the challenge, they were saying that you should clear it with 150%. What happens is when you're playing this, if it's too difficult, you can add reverie memes or whatever that word is, that can make it easier for you. All right, which I'll explain more in a separate video. Or nightmare memes. This literally makes it harder. All right, so if I should remove these, it starts at 100%, right? But when you increase these, let's say for example, I'm going through, my defense is reduced by 50%. The damage dealt by enemies is increased by 50%, right? And enemies gain a shield equal to 25% of their max HP. I'm talking about ridiculously hard content in here. All right. The thing is, you would use more than one character in here only if you use a specific echo, right? Like the Dreamless. If you don't have the Dreamless, you're solo. You're using one character to clear this. All right, that's literally how the depths of elusive realm work. It is extremely fun. It's one of the best parts of Wuthering Waves. You should definitely try it out. You don't need to be max level to try this. You just need to hit like level 70 or something, or you can just come in here and like try out characters. The game will literally prompt you when you can come here and try it out. All right, it won't take long. So this was an overview of endgame content and resonators, everyone. Thank you for watching. Like I said, I'll do separate guides on more tips and a full guide on the elusive realm. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you want to see more, give us a subscribe. Thank you. Take care. Have fun in Wuthering Waves, and all the best to you. All right.